Hello, welcome to Drive, the entrepreneur's financial roadmap to success. We are jumping right in right now in Module 1. I want to thank you so much for being a part of this. I am extremely excited about everything we have here. There's going to be so much content, and you're going to be able to see an impact right away on your business. I want to first introduce this first module because I think in some ways this is going to be the most important because it has to do with your mindset and how you think about your financial world. And if you don't get this right, then all of the things that are deep and diving into your financials and your forecast, your cash flow, are not going to matter unless you change the way you think. And so that's what we're going to cover in this first module. In session 1 of this module, you can see the title here is Driving to Win. So I'm going to explain a bit about what that's about in just a second. But first I want to, since this is the very first video here, explain exactly how this is going to work. So the way this is going to work is we're going to break it into bite-sized chunks. So each module in total will be a little over an hour. And we're also going to have templates and worksheets, which you've seen inside this course. But the actual content is going to be broken into bite-sized chunks. And so each video, this one will be a little bit longer because it's the first one, but will be roughly 10, 15 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes. So the idea is when you are, building your financial muscles and becoming an entrepreneur who is consistent and is valuing financials, that you're only going to need to break out 10 to 15 minutes a day to keep an eye on your key numbers, to check your dashboard, to keep an eye on what's going on with your business from a 10,000-foot view. And so when you're doing this course, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to take it in, 10 to 15 minutes a day is all you need to do. And, over time, you're going to have the skill set and the habits that you need to be a financially savvy and strong business owner. And so, this course will serve multiple purposes. Number one, it'll help you gain the skills and the knowledge that you need, and also it will help you build those habits and those financial muscles so that you can continue to do it even when you're done with this course. Introducing myself, my name is Mickey Deming, and I am the Director of Business Development at Kahuna Accounting. So what I have done, I am not what you would call a financial expert. However, at Kahuna Accounting, I have helped facilitate a lot of relationships between entrepreneurs and financial professionals. And so in that interaction, I've seen where there's kind of a breakdown between how the entrepreneur thinks and how the financial professional thinks. And so what I've done with this course is played the role of reporter and bridged these two sides together. And so a lot of what I'm going to talk about is based on experience with entrepreneurs and with our accounting team. And as you'll see later on, I've brought in experts to to bring this content home, especially on the more in-depth pieces. And so you'll hear from Philip Campbell later in modules 3 and 4. And Philip has done this for many, many years, and he is a pro. So that's who I am and how this is going down. A lot of what I'm doing, like I said, is just from asking a lot of questions and observing it within the entrepreneurs that we've worked with at Kahuna Accounting. So here's where we're going to start. Module 1, as I said before, Driving to Win. And I want to back up for just a second and think about what is the point of this course. We are going to get into some financial forecasting, some cash flow understanding, and building a financial rhythm that helps you build a healthy, successful, growing business. But what's the point? A lot of people kind of back away from accounting and finance because it's not very compelling, and it doesn't necessarily connect to what you, the entrepreneur, want out of your business. And so what I wanted to do to set the tone here with this first module is really change the mindset, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs are keep accounting at an arm's length, keep it at a distance. And I think the reason why is because a lot of CPAs and financial professionals, they provide financial information that has nothing to do with the things that the entrepreneur really care about. And so what I want to start with here is realizing like the point of this and the point of going through a course like this and what we're going to teach about has nothing to do with compliance, has nothing to do with making sure your taxes get done properly, has nothing to do with making sure all of your numbers are categorized correctly. Those things are all important, but those things are not what you really care about and not what drives your business forward. So the point of your financials is to be a scoreboard and to help you get what you want. And so where we want to start here is to begin with the end in mind and define what does winning look like for you and for your business. Because before you can build a roadmap or a model to success, you have to be very clear on where you're going. And the whole point of calling this course Drive is because I think most businesses just drift. They are along for the ride and then they end up somewhere. We want to map a destination, drive to that destination, and so to do that we have to begin with the end in mind and start there. So the begin with the end in mind phrase is not something I came up with. It's from Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, if you've ever read that book. And the quote from Stephen Covey that I think is really important for any entrepreneur to think about is I have here on the slide. It's incredibly easy to get caught up in an activity trap in the busyness of life, to work harder and harder at climbing the ladder of success, only to discover it's leaning against the wrong wall. So that, I think, can be pretty convicting for a lot of us, and especially in a business. You get busy, you do activity, and you work really hard, and you climb, and you hustle, and you do all these things, and a few years go by, and you realize, where am I? Have I really gone anywhere, or have I just done a lot of things and kind of ended up in the same place? And your numbers play a key role in that, because you can grow and you can try to do all these things and really end up in the same place unless you're very intentional about the business you want to build. So here's where we want to start as we begin with the end in mind, and I want to help you do this. Is the very first thing we need to do is be crystal clear on where you are going. What is the destination? Where is this all headed? And to do that, you have to be able to see the business from a 10,000-foot view. So what Stephen Covey's talking about, the reason that happens and the reason we climb this ladder and find out it's leaning against the wrong wall is because we're too close and we work really hard and we're so focused on our own day-to-day world that we miss the bigger picture. And so we have to zoom out to do this and to have any type of success and to make our financial information meaningful. That's what we have to do. So I want you to think and go back to the beginning about your why, about why you're doing this, what your purpose is, and what you set out to do when you started the business. Whether you're in early on in the game or if you've been doing this for several years, it's so important to be able to step out and see it from a high level and think about why you're doing it. Because the whole point of this course is to help you create the business you want. Every entrepreneur has done this for a reason, and the reasons there's a lot of different reasons. Whatever that is for you, though, that if you don't have what you want right now, or you don't feel like you're getting closer to the business that you wanted, the answer to how to get there lives in your numbers, because you can build a roadmap to getting what you want, and that's what we're going to talk about in this course. So, as I said before, the whole purpose here is to drive and not drift, to set a destination and build and architect a path to get there. And we have a framework that I'm going to walk through that is exactly how to build a model to getting what you want, and you can do it with your numbers. So let's go into that framework now. So the framework that we're going to talk about is called STACK. And that actually comes from Kahuna Accounting's founder and CEO, Frank Lunn. He wrote a book called Stack the Logs, and it comes from lessons learned in his own life. But the STACK strategy is a way that you can apply this to anything, and especially with your numbers to reverse engineer your goals and to get what you want. So we're going to walk through it right now. So first you set your course. So in order to get what you want, you have to, provide a roadmap to where you want to go. If I want to go to Chicago, I, put that destination on the map and I set my course. This is where I'm going. So for you in a business, you identify this is where I want to be in 3 years, and then you set a course. This is how I'm going to get there. Then, most importantly, you have to take action. So the point of this course, like I said, I want 10 to 15 minutes a day. I don't want it to be this big learning and thinking process. Really, the goal is to create action, to create momentum, because that's the only way that you get what you want. But you first set your course, then you take action, then you accept feedback. And so in a financial context, the way this works, and we're going to walk through the details of it down the road, but first to get the high level is you, in a financial context, you set your financial model. This is where I want to be in a year. These are the variables. These are the things that need to happen for me to get there. Then I take action. So I don't sit there and think about it all day. I move and I create momentum. When you take action, the thing about the financial forecast is, and Philip will preach this, over and over again, is it's not going to necessarily be accurate. Like your forecast is not going to be accurate, but it's giving you the map, and then it's giving you a feedback mechanism to find out what needs to change to get to where you want to go. And so when you take action, you always have to be accepting feedback. So you don't just take action indiscriminately and work really hard and find out your ladder's leaning against the wrong wall. You have to always be taking feedback, and that's what this financial model will do. Is it will create immediate real-time feedback on whether or not you're getting closer or further away from where you want to go. Then you correct course. So as you accept feedback, you make adjustments. And that's what the beauty of the financial rhythm that we're going to talk about is, that you can truly, find out what you need to do to get what you need to do. And then the K keeps stacking. So this whole cycle just keeps going. So you create your course, you take action, you accept feedback, you correct course and make adjustments, and then you just keep going. You keep the momentum going, you keep building, you keep growing, and eventually you get where you need to go. And so that is the model that we apply to everything we do. And this applies to a marketing plan, this applies to a business plan, a 3-year projection, a 6-month projection. This is how you get what you want. And most people only take action, or they only set their course and they draw it on the whiteboard over and over again. You have to build this into a model, and if you do it and you continue to accept feedback and correct course, eventually you will get to where you want to go. And if you tie your numbers to it, you can do this a whole lot faster because you have real data that tells whether or not you're getting there or not. So I'd like to think of this as keeping score. When I said at the very beginning, with financials, it's a lot of times viewed as about compliance or about tax, and it's P&L, balance sheet, things that don't really matter. You need to take your financials and turn them into something that is a scoreboard for your business. Because if we're saying we're going to drive and we're going to win, well, how can you win if you don't know the score? And so that's what we want to do. We create the vision, and that's like the rules. That's like what we want to do is created in this vision, in this setting of our course. But then once we have that, we create a scoreboard by building a forecast, by saying this is where I want to be. So in order to get there, these are the things that need to happen. And then we have a scoreboard so that we can actually keep score, and in a regular monthly, weekly cycle, we know whether or not we're winning or losing. So many people are running businesses and they don't even know if they're winning or losing. They're just going, and then they find out at the end of the year how they did. That's no way to run a business. That's no way to get what you want. You're never going to arrive at your destination if you're just creating a bunch of activity and not having a scoreboard or a feedback mechanism to get there. The whole point of this course is to create the business you want. So what you have to do is first define what it is you want, And then as we dig deeper into this forecast, we build a model to get there. This first module, the goal is to create a different mindset for your financials, to have a mindset of, I am going to commit to a goal and I'm going to build a financial model that helps me get there. So I want you to think now, what is that vision? And you don't have to rush through this. You don't have to do it right now. When I wrap this up in just a couple minutes, take some time to think that through, to zoom out and see the 10,000 foot view of the business. We don't have to get into the financials of it right now. Just think about, why did you do this in the first place? Why are you here? Why do you have this business? What is it that you want? And when you determine that, it gets a whole lot easier to create that scoreboard, to create that roadmap. So I want to just a reminder of this quote. What is the purpose? Where are we going? What is winning in this business? And once that's defined, we're going to be pretty far along already in getting there. And then you build a roadmap to make it happen. Here's one way to think about it, to put kind of some parameters on this vision, and this comes from a book called Traction. And I'll put links to these books inside in the course so you can find them if you're interested. A book called Traction that is about kind of how entrepreneurs can organize themselves. And the way this book breaks down, creating a vision is to start with 3 years, then 1 year, then 6 months. So when you look at 3 years, I mean, that's tough to envision. You're not necessarily going to be super practical in the 3-year vision just because there's so many things that can happen that you don't know about. But where would you want to be in a perfect world in 3 years? And you can think big in this situation. Where would you really want to be? Then once you have kind of that written down and kind of processed, then you think, okay, if that's where I want to be, where would I need to be in 1 year to be on track for that, for that 3-year vision to be possible? And then once you do that, then you back up a little bit more and say, okay, in the next 6 months, where do I need to be in that place in 1 year? And so that, I think, is a clarifying way to build that vision, so that you can be very clear with yourself, first and foremost, about where this business is going and where you want it to be. So just to kind of recap this first module, like I said, this first session of the first module will be a bit longer than the others just because there were some kind of overview pieces. But to start, this is where we need to be, is looking at the business at a high level. Where do you want it to be? Your vision is going to dictate everything else, because everything we talk about from here on out with building a financial forecast, creating cash flow, creating excess cash flow, is all to drive what it is that you want, where you want the business to be. And so if you're not clear on that, we're just going to be climbing a ladder, and we may or may not, have it leaning against the correct wall. So the action step here, take some time, think about where you want to be in 3 years, 1 year, 6 months. Use, whatever, metric that's important to you. What's meaningful to you? Anything can be turned into the numbers, and we'll walk through that later. But first, you have to be clear on what it is that you want. So thanks a lot for joining for this this first session. You can, if you have questions, you can send it to me, Mickey@KahunaAccounting.com, and take some time and get clear on that vision, and we will go from there. See you on the next session.